Phillipsburg Town Council meeting, February 14th, 2024.
Meeting to order. Vice President Melissa Paulus, would you please read the Open Public Meeting Act statement?
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of February 14th, 2024 was included in a list of meeting notices sent to the newspapers of record and posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and has remained continuously posted as the required notices under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice has been available to the public and it is on file in the office of the municipal clerk.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilman, would you please do the invocations?
Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts, our minds, in the spirit of fairness, right thoughts, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen. Susan, roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
Here.
Councilman Kennedy?
Here.
Councilman Skirbo?
Here.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Here.
Council President Marino?
Here. Okay, approval of minutes from the January 16th, 2024 regular meeting minutes, as well as the January 30th, 2024 special meeting minutes. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. The bills list, please.
The total regular bill list, February 14th, 2024, is $4,640,166.76. The prepaid bill list is $483,562.92, for a grand total of $5,123,729.68.
Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the bills list? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes. Okay, moving on to the long-awaited Corliss Avenue mediation update. Matt?
Matt?
I think Matt actually brought me in to speak about that.
Okay,
Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
sir, give us your name, please.
All right, my name's Nick Lippincott.
You go to the mic over there, please.
So yeah, Matt asked me to just come in and say a few words about the asbestos and mold abatement project that's going over on at 675 Corliss Avenue. So the mold abatement took place first. That was what kicked off the project from October 23rd to November 17th. It was about 4 weeks long and primarily took place in the basement of the building. That work has been completed, but we're waiting to run like final air clearance samples once all the asbestos work has been completed as well. The 10-day notification for the asbestos work was submitted on November 3rd, and then the actual work began on November 20th. The work's being completed in 8 main stages. There's 3 containment areas on the first floor of the structure, 3 in the basement, and then the second floor is just being treated as one containment area. And then there's some exterior work as well. To date, we are completed 5 of the 7 interior containment areas. And all that remains is the 3 basement containment areas and the exterior work, which will be some transite paneling around the lower exterior and then some transite soffit around the roof. Other than that, there has been 2 additional ACMs that have been identified since the project started. There was a $50,000 allowance that was allotted with the original budget, and we expect that these 2 additional ACMs should be abated within that $50,000 allowance to where we won't need any additional money. So the 2 additional ACMs are transite skylights that were found on the 2nd floor. There was approximately 6 of them. And then there was some black mastic that was found on structural steel beams that was behind my drywall. That the drywall was glued to these steel beams with the black mastic, so black mastic would need to be abated. That wasn't found on all beams. I did a personal count walk through, and it was found to be about 65 of the 120 beams in the building. And then
Yeah, so I think that, that accounts for, obviously, you know, the initial estimate on this project was to be completed by the end of January, but obviously we found additional ACMs.
yeah.
And, I'm sorry, do we have an expected completion date for full remediation yet?
Yeah, so the original completion date was proposed to be February 20th. Since the identification of the 2 additional ACMs, the abatement contractor estimated that each ACM will take an additional 2 weeks. So now we are expecting the project to be done on March 19th, on or before March 19th.
Okay.
And in order to kind of assure that that happens, we switched from 4 10-hour shifts per week to 8 5-hour shifts on January 8th. Just the supervisor on site said that thinks he could get a lot more productivity out of his guys by doing 5/8s, and so that was initiated in early January, and I think we've seen a little bit of progress
Okay.
already. So
And we're scheduled to have a roof evaluation done, I think on the 22nd. We'll be bringing that contractor in. Because then the next, most pressing thing is going to be to stabilize the roof, because we do have quite a bit of water infiltration into the building still. So obviously, if we don't address that, we're going to, be right back to a mold issue. So that's going to be the next step in this process.
yeah, so that was another reason we were kind of holding off till the end on the mold work with all that water intrusion going on. We didn't want to go running the air samples and then have all that moisture content in the air and get some false positives. And I did bring just like a printout of some photos, if you guys wanted me to leave these behind too, that are
That'd be great.
kind of labeled showing.
And if you could you
certain areas.
email me that so I could
Yeah.
PDF copy that so I can forward it around the council?
Yep. Yeah, so the first 4 pages are just general figures showing the containment areas, and then the remaining pages will be actual pictures with descriptions. I guess, is there any questions?
Excuse me. Councilman Skirbo, any questions?
Not at the moment.
Councilman Clark?
I'm good, thank you.
Councilman Kennedy? I'm good. Councilwoman Wallace?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, as long as you guys do this thorough, because there's a lot of former employees here that came out of that building with cancer. So this thing's been ongoing for a lot of years with the mold, and a lot of that's not a lot of knowledge, but a lot of those employees ended up with cancer that worked there. So I really appreciate that you're finding everything that you can and giving us the best. Mayor, you have any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, public discussion on agenda items. State just your name.
I'm Joe Minor,
Okay?
I simply have a question.
Directed here, Joe.
How close to Corliss is Corliss done? Is it like, are we almost done spending money and having the whole place clean so that we can now do something with it? Or is it still halfway along or quarter?
Well, he's
The
already-
general, what is the general status? Is
So-
this report mean we're almost there?
Matt will answer you.
So Joe, define there, like there as in moving back in?
You could go and say, okay, we could move back in, or we could rent the place out because it's now legal.
No, so all this work is removing asbestos and mold. So the building needs a substantial amount of work before it could be utilized, like actual
Like-
renovation work. So, you know, and just to give you an idea, I mean, the building has
For having
deteriorated.
sit around for too many years.
Well, right, and then also to get, to remove the asbestos from the building, a significant amount of demolition had to be done. What? To remove the asbestos from the building,
Yeah.
you know, it's in the ceilings, it was covering steel beams, I mean, walls, ceilings had to be ripped out, I mean, the building's in a, you know, essentially like a gutted state right now.
Okay, so it's not, is the old mold now all out? Is all
It's
the
going to
old
be by the
stuff
end of
out?
this, yes,
So now we have an empty building that needs rehab.
correct.
So we got a major piece of expense ahead, but we're gonna end up with property that we can do something with.
The idea would be to.
Are we halfway through the money yet, or give me a guess, how much of the money is done, and how much do we have ahead of us?
Well,
Before we have a property that we can
so-
sell, rent, or use?
So the next step is going to put out an RFP for an
What is that?
engineer, for a firm that is going to evaluate the building and, you know, tell us how we can reuse it. Obviously, the building was built, you know, to serve the Phillipsburg
Yeah.
of the mid-sixties. You know, here we are 50 years later, you know, we need a building that's going to serve the Phillipsburg of, you know, the 2020s and beyond.
Could that be of the scope, for example, the cooling system had, the original mold problem was because the cooling system was, say, misdesigned.
All of that's gonna have to be
That's not done yet.
no,
That still needs doing.
correct.
So the only thing they've gotten rid of so far is the mold.
Correct.
Well,
Because, I mean, because-
and a large portion of the asbestos. The environmental
Right.
remediation is what's going on now.
Because that had to happen first. You couldn't send
Okay.
people in to
But
do
that's-
work on the
that's-
building in the state that it was in. It was not safe.
I'm getting an answer to my question
Yeah.
right now in here. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're say a third of the way? Are we maybe 2/3 of the way?
I'll say,
Can this man guess?
yeah, I'll say quarter. Yeah. I
A
think
quarter of the
that's-
way? Oh, boy.
All right, Joe, you satisfied with that answer?
Thank you.
Okay, any other public discussion on agenda items? Name, please. Sure.
David Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights.
Excuse me, Dave, we're not going to take addresses anymore, just the name.
Oh, okay. Scratch the address.
Scratch it.
I have either probably a yes or no question, probably a real softball for you, but historically, on the agenda items and comments on agenda items, council had previously agreed that if there was a sneak attack agenda item, surprise agenda item that wasn't on the agenda and it comes up during the meeting, Council President, can you continue the practice of giving the public a chance to comment before that item is considered, as was done previously?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Dave. I'm going to do what we did in our school board days. You'd have some BA come in at 1 minute to 7 and give you the copy, and it would be read. The entire sheet will be read. This is a new one coming in tonight. I will read it. and we'll give the council opportunity to discuss it as well as the public.
Thank
There's
you.
going to be no hiding of anything,
Thank you.
okay? Anyone else? No one else, seeing none? Okay, we have the consent agenda on the resolutions. Need a motion, and second?
Mr. Council
Go ahead.
President, can we pull anything before?
Sure you can.
I would just like to pull R22429.
And Council President, if I could have 2024-25 pulled also?
Sure. Any other ones to pull? Okay, seeing none, we need a motion and second, pull 24-25 and 24-29. And also, after everything's done there, I'll be reading resolution 2024-32.
So the motion would be to approve the consent agenda, resolution 2024-26, 27, 28, 30, and 31.
Correct.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussions on that? Roll call.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilman Scarbo,
No.
Council Vice President Paulus,
Yes.
Council President Marino,
Yes. Okay, Councilman Clark, you pulled yours first.
Yes, thank you. So I've had some issues coming from constituents regarding the salary. Essentially, with this, we would be designating the mayor as a full-time position, but many people find it very hard to believe that a person can have two full-time jobs at the same time. And I personally don't believe that we can provide full-time pay for part-time work. It's just my personal thought. So I, in good conscience, cannot approve this as it is currently. But I would like to offer an alternative to both my colleagues up here and something I believe the public can be very comfortable with, while also keeping to the honesty of the government. So I'd like to move or make a motion to amend the ordinance to be presented at the next council meeting to include 3 amendments. 1, I'd like the designation of the mayor's position to be changed from full-time to part-time. 2, I'd like to revisit the salary ranges to make the part-time range $20,000 instead of the $65,000 being listed in here. And then 3, I'd like to take the difference of the savings and split it amongst the 3 entities that the money's being donated. So instead of only receiving $5,000 each, they would receive $15,000 each, which I believe can better them far further.
Okay, you're making that a motion, Councilman?
Yes, please.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman
Oh,
Kennedy,
excuse me, hold it. I didn't see your hand there.
Can I address, since it is about me?
Sure.
Okay.
This is an open meeting, we
So-
hide nothing.
So I would just like to point out that 2 previous mayors, Harry Wine, had a full-time electric business plus a full-time property maintenance business, as well as being full-time mayor. Mayor Tersigni also had Liberty Construction, which is listed as a full-time construction business, as well as Tersigni Property Maintenance, as well as being a full-time mayor. I'd also like to say that I have agreed to take $15,000 cut. It's not 65. I bumped it down to 50,000 from Mayor Tersigni's previous range. I've also waived the dental at 1,100 and the health insurance, which comes in at 36,626. That's 36,000. So that total from the 15,000 salary reduction from Tersigni's, the dental that was being taken and the health insurance that is being taken is a $52,000 savings. The resolution in here is not 65, it's 50. I'm taking less than 50 of what the total cost was to the town previous. So you can make your motion, but the town is actually saving more now. And I've been to 3 different meetings where it's the first time they said they've ever had a mayor attend. So I believe I'm actually putting in more hours than Mayor Tersigni. So you can make the motion, I disagree. So here's the numbers from CFO Merlo.
Council President, if I may, I don't want you to go back and forth. But, so I'm not particularly well versed in the financials of both Mayor Wines and Mayor Tersigny. But it is my understanding that they were both semi-retired. Yes, they had.
No.
If-
No,
if-
it was a full-time job. They were
Council
retired.
President, let him talk.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Excuse me,
Allergies.
You could talk.
It was-
Then everyone on the council, excuse me, Councilman, is going to have to say the same thing, so I want everyone in the public to know. Go ahead.
All I'm saying is my knowledge that they were semi-retired. I mean, now, I'm not familiar with their personal finances, but again, I was not on council during Mayor Wines. I was not on council during the majority of Mayor Tersigny, and I've seen Mayor Ellis and Tersigny attend these meetings. So I'm not trying to get into a back and forth, but I'm just going with what our constituents is saying, so I'm trying to resolve the issue.
Thank you. Okay, we have a roll call in there. Thank you.
Well,
Councilman.
I'd like to add something.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
I also want to note that this mayor is not utilizing a town vehicle or utilizing the excessive use of gasoline. So that right there is a huge savings.
Okay. Councilman?
Yeah, I got a comment as well. So, Mr. Clark, you could state that you don't believe that the two former mayors were full-time employees, have their own businesses, but I could vouch for that. Mr. Wine is my neighbor, and I saw him get in his car every day with his name on it and go to work every day. And I also saw Mr. Tersigny drive around with his name on his truck every day. So I don't know where you're getting that information from, but it's not hard to see when you're in this town that they did have full-time jobs and they were full-time mayors. It's pretty easy. I think the whole public could see that as well. I really think it's a great thing that Mayor Piazza is doing, donating some of the money back to certain entities, foregoing medical benefits. It's a huge savings, and like Mrs. Paulus mentioned, he's not going to be using a vehicle and abusing gas like our former mayor did. So, just wanted to state that for the record.
We're not going back.
No, it's not
Excuse me,
about-
Council, we're not going back and
Robert's
forth.
Rules
Excuse
of
me.
Order.
Excuse me, we let everyone talk. I said I'm going to run an open meeting, I do, but we're not getting into an argument. Okay, so everyone had an opportunity to talk. We have a motion, we have a second. Continue the roll call, please. On Councilman Clark's motion.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo?
No.
Council Vice President Paulus?
No.
Council President Marino?
No. Okay, so we have a motion to pass those resolutions. We had Councilman Clark discuss it.
Okay, so Councilman Clark made a motion to amend, that failed. Now before you need a motion to adopt.
Now we need a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-29.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We've had extended conversation, we're not going to have back and forth, we're going to have a dog and pony show. Those days are gone in Phillipsburg as long as I'm alive and sitting here. So we have that. Call the roll call, please.
Councilman Clark?
No.
Councilman Kennedy?
No.
Councilman Skirbo?
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
I like to vote yes, and I'm going to tell you why I'm voting yes. We're saving a lot of money, taxpayers. And as the two aforementioned former mayors, if you rode around Peterborough, you've seen them not putting 8 hours a day in there as a full-time. This is nothing but political attack on a mayor that's putting his time in and saving all kind of money. The previous mayor in that car, and I got the records to prove, 1,000 miles a month on a town car, your tax dollars. So does the motion pass? Yes, okay, thank you. Now we have what?
2024-20.
2024-25, Councilman Kennedy.
Yeah, this resolution is to appoint Matthew Knoll, our rec director, to the position of Deputy Municipal Department Head of Division of Maintenance Services. If you can swallow all that. I see on the third line of this resolution, whereas a superintendent of public works has been duly appointed. Who is that person that's been appointed? Mr. Hall?
Without Rice noticing in the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Can't give the name. They're not
Okay,
right.
okay, so we don't give the name. Is there salary with this position? Can you
That's
give me that?
in for Mr. Knoll's position?
No, for the superintendent of public works who's been appointed.
Well, there's a salary range for it.
Yeah.
I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know what it is. I want to say it's between 90 and 110,000.
Okay.
I mean, I'd have to go back to the last.
Okay,
salary.
well, that's ballpark figure.
Yeah.
Now, I see Mr. Knoll's salary for this new position is going to be $80,000 annually, and he will also receive a $20,000 stipend as,
Correct.
okay? So since we already have a superintendent of public works, I just don't think that this new position for Mr. Knoll is necessary. I think the taxpayers are going to be on the hook for quite a bit of money here. So that's my objection to it. That's why I questioned it. So I cannot be in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, there's no motion to amend it or anything, correct, Councilman Clark, or Kennedy?
No.
Okay, so we need a motion to pass Resolution 2024-25 or deny. We need a motion and a second.
I'll motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Clark,
No.
Councilman Kennedy,
No.
Councilman Scarbo,
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus,
Yes.
Council President Marino,
Yes. Okay. We have a resolution that was just handed, and for the public, this is done quite a bit when I was on my school board days. The DA would come in at the last minute, because things do happen in government at the last minute. It's Resolution 2024-32, just bear with me as I read. Resolution authorizing the approval of Treatment Works approval permit applications for the 2024 year. Whereas the town of Phillipsburg is the owner of a wastewater treatment plant, and as such is required to issue approvals for Treatment Works approval applications submitted to the town by users of the wastewater treatment plant. And whereas the applications require the consent of the governing body and execution of approval by the mayor. And whereas the approval by the governing body and subsequent execution of approval by the mayor are largely ministerial acts predicated on recommendation of the town sewer engineer. Whereas the town council desires to authorize the mayor to execute approvals for applications upon the recommendation of the town sewer engineer without the need for individual governor body approval of same. And whereas the governor body desires to authorize the town sewer engineer to provide consent to the application. Now therefore be it resolved by the town council of the town of Phillipsburg, county of Warren, state of New Jersey, that the town sewer engineer is authorized to consent on behalf of the town to a Treatment Works approval permit application and a statement of consent to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for all 2024 applications submitted to the town. Be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute said approvals upon the recommendation of the town sewer engineer for the year 2024. Be it further resolved that the town sewer engineer shall circulate to the mayor and the town council all such applications along with his recommendation letter prior to any such application being approved. Certification, Matthew C. Hall, acting municipal clerk for the town of Phillipsburg, do hereby certify that the foregoing is a true copy of a resolution duly adopted by the town council at the February 14th, should be 2024. Yep. Right, 2024 meeting. I was a proofreader many years ago as well. Okay, there's a resolution. Any discussion by council? Seeing none, motion? Oh, public, anyone from the public? I'm not going to read it again though, but I'd like to read it if you want. Anyone from the public? Okay, seeing none, need a motion in a second?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call please.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilman Scarbo,
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus,
Yes.
Council President Marino,
Yes. Keep moving on to old business. Councilman Skirbo.
Yeah, a couple meetings ago, I brought up about the Open Space Committee and the Recreation Committees. We are now at 2 years, we haven't had a meeting. A lot of money in the surplus for open space. I made comments that I thought that we should put out, posted for anyone that has interest and restart the groups back up. I think it's only fair to the public when the former administration failed to act on tax funds that were being distributed out from our residents. I want to do this again. I just want to know how the rest of the council feels about this. I think we need to get on this swiftly. There's roughly over $500,000 in open space funds that could have been used the past 2 years, but former mayor decided he wanted to remove people, I don't know if it was political retribution or whatnot, and he decided to let it just fall by the wayside. I want to take it, by the reins, and I want to really start it back up again so we can get this money out to the public, redo some of the parks and different things for recreation. It's been a long time coming, so I just want to say that again. I want to do this. I want to put it out for, post it out for any interest so we can start these groups back up again.
Councilman Kennedy?
I agree. The Open Space Committee should be meeting. I said that from the get-go, from the time I was sworn in as a councilman. Whoever decided not to have the meetings, that was out of my hands. I think if there are people currently on those committees and they have unexpired terms, I think the fact that they were willing to serve, they should continue to be able to serve on those committees. And if there are other people interested, by all means, they should be able to put their name in, letters of interest and whatnot. So I agree, the open space committees and the rec committee should meet regularly.
Councilman Clark?
I completely agree, they should be meeting. And quite frankly, they could have started meeting this year. Everyone currently appointed to that board is legally there. There's absolutely no justification to kick them off, simply to clean the slate, to allow a new administration to pick whoever they want. I believe if we're serious about this, we can start having the meetings. We could have started doing this back in January. So I say we just have these meetings, have a transparent and honest conversation, and move forward. And as the former liaison for the open space committee, I worked time after time to get this thing together. One of my first initiatives was to get the referendum up to have the trust, the open space trust, Port of Town of Phillipsburg, reinstated for another 5 years because it was due to collapse my first year being up here. So we have the funds there. We have the people ready. There's absolutely no reason we can't start now. So I say if the folks are there now, which they are legally, let them serve. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilwoman Fox.
Yeah, I think because of the time period that has lapsed in having any type of structured meetings, I believe that anybody who's interested in serving should submit a letter of interest. I think as soon as possible to get the postings up on the website, collect the information, and then bring it before us for appointments. Because let's face it, neither committee is fully staffed. So to have meetings with only a few people, I think just is a waste of time. So I agree with Councilman Skirbo that let the postings go up on the website and see what you get and select from them. So if those members that are still on there want to serve, let them submit a letter of interest.
Okay, my final thoughts on this. Councilman Skirbo, that's your committee. Meet with Matt Knoll, and get it running. As you know, by law, you have to have a meeting every quarter because of the funds that are expended. I'm not going to look in the past because, man, it's a mess. So we got to start today. So that's what I would recommend to you, to meet with them and get the meetings ongoing and keep it going by law. Satisfied with that? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I did reach out to Mr. Wenner. We have I gave him a copy of the bylaws. I mentioned that I was going to bring this up in the meeting, so maybe Mr. Wenner, you can explain to what the bylaws say, the legal standpoint. Can we repost it? It does say we can do that in the bylaws.
Yeah, yes, thank you. So the issue that we have is that the members, the current serving members of the Open Space Committee were appointed properly. So they have a vested property interest in the term that they were appointed for. The bylaw, and there's nothing in the statute that permits, or in the ordinance that permits their removal. absolute good cause. The bylaws, to Councilman Scribbles' point, do permit that, and they permit it for any reason. So I don't have a definitive answer for you yet, unfortunately. I will have one shortly as to whether the interplay between the bylaws that were adopted by the Open Space Committee permitting the removal of a member with or without cause, how that plays with the statute. So I will have more to report on that definitively at the next meeting.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, we'll go back to old business. Councilman Kennedy?
I have nothing else.
Councilman Clark?
No.
Councilwoman Paulus?
Nothing.
Neither do I. New business? Councilman Skirbo?
Yeah, I just want to maybe throw out some interest here. I don't know the answer to this question, but I'm going to throw it out there. I just don't know where the status is for the Cal Ripken Field. They had a dream team that meets all the time. I don't know what the status is from their meetings. We haven't heard anything for months since they had the groundbreaking, really. So if anyone on this council has any information on that, I would like to hear it.
I can honestly say I wasn't on part of that dream team, so I have no clue. Anyone who was, if they want to speak now, Councilman.
Status, they're still accepting donations, so feel free to get in contact with one of the co-chairs, Jeff Finnegan, or Dr. Brennan, to make your donation for the field. It's still open, and we're still looking for community input. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Kennedy, new business.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Councilman Clark. Councilwoman Paulus.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at what we can do regarding strays. Just on this bills list, we had a payment made to Common Sense for Animals of over $12,000. And, you know, everybody that in town is well aware of all the dogs that get loose. You know, I'm a dog lover. I've had dogs all my life. I guess I've been fortunate to never be in that position where my dog got loose and I couldn't find it. But I don't think the taxpayers should be responsible for paying for these fees, especially if the dog is claimed. So I'd like to maybe take a look at that. As well as looking at sewer fees. I've had a couple of discussions about redoing the sewer fees, so that more information to come on that.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman, if I can, not the entirety of that bill, but a large part of it actually had to do with the detention of a potentially dangerous dog investigation that the ACO was involved in. So that was that's kind of an unusually high.
Was the owner located?
Yes, but it's subject to a criminal investigation.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to
it's
say
kind of
anything
a
else,
mess.
but it, you know, still, you know, the taxpayer shouldn't be
Sure.
bearing the cost of irresponsible dog owners.
Depending on the outcome, there could be pursuit of restitution, but that
Well, that, in that case, I'm talking about, you know,
Sure.
any case in general.
Yeah.
You know,
I
one
just
one
wanted
time
to
is
point
an
out that
accident,
was-
okay, you know,
Yeah.
but repeated, people that don't contain their dogs.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to point out that was like an unusually high
Okay,
bill.
I
to
appreciate that.
Common sense, sure.
Satisfied?
Yeah, thank you.
I have none. Okay, we have any motions?
I actually do have a motion at this time,
Go ahead.
Mr. Moreno. I'd like to make a motion. I looked into this preliminarily with Mr. Wenner. There still is some question marks about who owns the street and who owns the sign. So I want to make a motion to change the name of Needler Avenue to Duncan Avenue. My reasons being is I had a chance to get a copy of Mr. Scher's book, Forgotten No More, which is a great book. I urge everyone to go out and get it. It's the history of African American history in Phillipsburg. Former Mayor Needler had very disparaging comments about African Americans during his time as mayor, and it did make the newspaper back then. His comments, he said, "We don't want a lot of N-word to come here and create a nuisance in our town," and that made newspapers back then in 1900s. So I don't feel that it represents our town. That name should not be on there anymore, and I would like to change it to the Duncan name, who is one of the first settlers, the family's first African-American settlers here in Phillipsburg, and they also fought in the Civil War, the two brothers. So I thought that would be a more appropriate name for that street. I guess the problem is now we don't know who owns the street. There was a pilot program way back when with the Housing Authority, so we have to find more out about that. But I would like to make a motion to change that street if council is with me on that.
I wouldn't mind supporting that.
Let me go first, Councilman, I'll tell you why. When you're going to change the name of a street in a community, listen to what I'm going to say. You better go down to the post office, inform them that change. And if those people, they don't recognize that change, especially in a poverty area like that, and they don't get their assistance checks or that, so it's not going to be done overnight. So I would have the attorney look into everything if you're going to make the change and do it right. If you've ever worked there, like I have, they don't get that check, they're going to want to know who's responsible for it or any kind of program they have. It won't be done overnight. So I would recommend, before we continue with this, the attorney contact the post office. Keep in mind, a lot of these people are no longer local workers. They're coming in from all over, so they follow the mail. Some of them don't even know the street, they just follow the mail, but I would recommend that so that we don't have 100 people here saying, hey, let's wait for this. I live at 481 Needler, hope I don't have the address of anyone, and I've been waiting for this, so attorney, that's only my suggestion before we carry on.
Sure, I agree all bases should be covered. I just wanted to let other council people know my intentions for this motion.
So if I may, Council President,
Yeah.
so what I can do is get, so I did reach out, Councilman Skirbo and I did have a conversation. I reached out to Craig Rotons, our tax assessor, asked him if it was a town-owned street or whether it was owned by the Housing Authority. Craig's initial response was he did not believe that it was a town-owned street, although we haven't gotten a definitive answer on that. If we do get a definitive answer on that, or when we get a definitive answer on that, assuming that the answer is still it's not a town-owned street, then there's nothing we can do. It would be the Housing Authority changing it, and I would suggest, reaching out to the Housing Authority and saying, hey, how about you change your name? If it is a town-owned street, then no problem. We do it by ordinance, first and second reading. We send a copy of the ordinance down to the post office after following Council President's recommendation, making sure that everything was good on their end as well. But that's the process.
I mean, we changed a few streets during my career, and it's a nightmare. It's a real nightmare if you don't take the time and do it properly. And if I may suggest, can we hold off that until we find out if it is a Housing Authority street?
Yeah, that's the first step. Yeah.
And if council agrees with that, we can bring it back. But, let's get everything in order first, because as you know, a lot of people move in and out of those places. There could be important birth certificate, marriage, any type of a legal document. Here's the way they work. You change that street, and the reader don't pick it up, it's not going to get delivered. So if they have something important, I'd rather go through all the steps, meet with housing, meet with the town, make sure it's a town-owned street, then we can bring that back. Is it okay?
It's fine.
Everybody in agreement with that? Just hold on to that, Rich?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, let's do it the right way, instead of having snowballs thrown at us. Okay? Any other motions?
Council President,
Go ahead.
actually. So I actually want to thank my colleague for bringing that up. I know this is going to be a process that's going to take a while, but I think there is something we can do in quicker time. And if you're willing to join me, I'd love to pass a resolution denouncing Mayor Needler for his comments so we can get it on the record. Simple resolution. That's something we can do, right?
Sure.
And I'd love to joint partner on that with you, and of course, all of our colleagues.
That would be great, Mr. Clark.
Thank you.
Is that a motion?
I think they're going to work on it and prepare it, and then we'll present it.
Well, should we have the lawyer draft something up and we could check it?
For next meeting, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, we have a motion. Matt, did you second that?
Second it, yep.
Okay, any more discussion on changing the street name? No? Roll call, please.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilman Skirbo,
Yes.
Council Vice President Paulus,
Yes.
Council President Marino,
Yes. Okay, any other motions? Okay, now to the public. Any public petitions? State your name only.
Chairman Pierce, I have a question to ask. When we get a donation and we vote on it, does it become public money? So if somebody donates a large sum of money and we vote on it, does it become tax-paying money?
You want me to answer that question?
Whoever.
I'll tell you,
Technically,
that
yes,
money will
yes.
say
So
It
if-
does.
if you came in and said, I want to donate $10,000 to the town of Phillipsburg, here's a check for $10,000, that is now public, and you hand that check over, that is now public money.
Okay, so when we got the $330,000, that means we decide where it goes, not to just one field or whatever, correct?
Well, are you referring to the bridge redevelopment agreement?
When we got the $330,000,
Yeah.
it was a donation, correct?
It was a donation.
And then you voted on it, so that became tax-paying money. So
Well,
that
hold on.
meant,
I don't mean to cut you off, let me just go back, so we're talking about the same thing. So the agreement between the town and Bridge, the redevelopers agreement, did have a $300,000 recreation contribution provision in that agreement, where Bridge, upon the issuance of the CO, the certificate of occupancy for phase one, was going to issue a check in the amount of $300,000 to the town. It was a restricted donation. It couldn't be used for any purpose whatsoever. It had to be used for recreational purposes. So that was
Okay.
in the original agreement. And then last year, the council approved an amendment to the redevelopers agreement whereby that $300,000 essentially got repurposed, and instead of being $300,000 that was provided to the town, it was being provided to the Cal Ripken field. So that's what happened, that's what's been approved. Now, to your question is whether does that constitute public money? It's a legitimate question, yeah.
so it's actually public money then, taxpayers' money.
There was
correct?
money that was going to go to the town, into the town's coffers, that is now not going into the town's coffers. It's going to the organization.
So it's
For
a
public
double-edged
purpose.
sword,
I'm sorry?
double-edged sword.
Yeah, I mean,
Because you
it's-
took all that money, now is Bridge aware of what you voted on?
Well, yeah, they had to sign the agreement.
After the fact or before the fact?
Well, the agreement didn't become effective until they executed it, so it was,
They
they were
gave you-
aware of it. Yes, they were aware of the proposed amendment, they agreed to the proposed amendment, and then once the council adopted a resolution approving the amendment and directing the mayor to execute the amended redevelopers agreement, Bridge then executed it as well.
How much more money do we need for this field? Because I'm a taxpayer, and I'll tell you, I'm really disappointed. Because you know what? That $330,000, because I sat on the rec committee, and now I gotta be appointed, because I was appointed by council, I'm really discouraged. Because you know what? There's a lot of parks in this town that could be used for our kids. You know what? There ain't nothing really here for our kids to do. Because now there's trouble at the youth center. Only 3 adults can go, 3 spectators per team. That money could be used for a lot of other things. I want to know how much money needs to be raised for this field that only one team can play at a time. Only one team, when it's done, if it ever gets done. So, Mr. Clark, my question to you is, you know so much, sorry. Okay, for council, how much more money do we need for this field?
I have no idea. I wasn't on that team. It wasn't an official part of the council, so I can't answer.
Well, we're raising this money. We took $300,000 that we voted on, that we could use for a lot more things in this town, like our children.
Okay, well, we'll have to find out.
So I think we should put this field on hold until we know exactly how much of our taxpaying money is being used. Because it seems like our taxpaying money is getting used for an awful lot of stuff, except for what we really need.
Well, according to the attorney, they voted 3-2 last year. They moved that money over. 78 Rich knows about it. So what
Do they really know about it?
I'm going on the word of the attorney.
Well, I
This
think
is
maybe
one
we should have
officer
Bridge
of the
come
word.
before council and answer some of
Okay.
the questions for taxpayers.
Okay, well, let's see what they do with that. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
comments. Okay, anyone can talk, you get shook up, that's okay, but you're gonna calm down.
Sorry.
We're not gonna have yelling and screaming.
Sorry,
We're not
Council
gonna
President.
accomplish anything. To answer her question, it was voted down 3-2 not to move the money. It is what it is, okay? All right, anything else? Dave, you coming back? Yes. We know your name.
Hello, David Morissette, address redacted.
Redacted.
So I did have one question, and it's just a question out of curiosity. So there's some structural changes being made inside the town of Phillipsburg in regards to public works. We did have a public works guy that was like the head of it, and now there's some changes being made. What's the rationale and the justification for the changes? Council President?
Yeah.
Let the attorney.
Right, so the structure of the town's internal offices is administrative, and it also implicates personnel. So, I mean, if you want a general question as to, if your question is generally why is the administration undertaking certain changes?
Correct.
Okay, so I think the easiest answer to that question is because that's how it should have been all this time. There were, years ago, going back to, yeah, well before my time, there was, the way the town was set up, the organizational chart that it was set up is how it's now being put back to. So there was a period of time where it wasn't done the way it was supposed to be done, and now it's getting righted. So that's why these changes are occurring. And Matt has that organizational chart. I'm sure he'd be happy to share it with you.
So you're saying the way
It's
it was,
actually part of the agenda.
Is it in the agenda
Yeah,
packet?
it's in the
public agenda. Yeah.
so you're saying the way it was done was incorrect and a mistake, and now it's being done properly? Is that what I understood you to say?
I don't know if it was being done improperly. It wasn't being done in accordance with how it was originally set up. Right. There was a deviation from what was, and we're trying to put it back to what was.
Okay. No, I think it's in the agenda, right? So, thank you, Mayor. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Dave. Any other under public petitions? Hey, seeing none?
Hold on.
Hold it. Your name?
I have two.
Give us one.
Kelly. Kelly, I live in Phillipsburg. I kind of have a bunch of stuff I want to say, but I have 3 minutes to talk. So my question is, it's kind of like similar, like a little bit to this lady about like the children and stuff in the area. So I do community events. I started doing community events in the last like year, and the community comes out, they put these events together, and then I have like a bunch of stuff that are from these events. And I have nowhere to put all this stuff. And I want to do more community events. And I wanted to know about spaces in the town. If you guys have like any space that you're not using, that I can use to store stuff.
I think,
Yeah, Mayor.
I've seen you at community development meetings, right?
Yeah.
They have, they do have that garage that, I don't know if you can talk to.
Is that about it?
Yeah, I don't know how much room is in there. And
I
it's
mean,
just an idea to try to find you.
Yeah, because like the last 2 events that I did,
It may be full.
the town came together and gave certain things that we needed for sneaker day, and then S'mores in the Park came, and that was like a little bit different. We didn't really need like some of the stuff that we had for sneaker day, and I had to like raffled it. I gave it away to families because I didn't have nowhere to put this stuff that we could have reused for next year when we have another event. So as events are happening, I don't know what to do with all this stuff, and I can't afford to put it in my house. So I'm kind of asking if there's some organization that wants to like, because I've asked around and people don't really have an answer to give me.
I
And
can
people
check with-
stop me all the time and ask me about like when community events are happening, where are they going to be done? And Chappelle Park has been where I've been doing them.
Yeah, I would well, that garage is in the vicinity, so it would be convenient if there is some space, maybe we can carve out a section of that, or
Okay. All right.
I can reach out.
Yep. All right. Awesome. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Really. Okay, thank you.
Any other public petition?
Dan Boyce. I understand that the judge has thrown out all of the arguments, or if not all, most of the arguments for the lawsuit against the Howard Street warehouse. I'm wondering where the lawsuit sits now.
So my default answer is that we don't comment on pending litigation.
It's still pending?
Yes.
Even though the judge has thrown out like a majority of the arguments?
Yeah,
It
and
still
then my
hasn't?
my follow-up to that is I'm not defending the town on that, so I'm not in a position to speak intelligently about the exact status of the case. It is still ongoing. The town has defense counsel that was assigned by the insurance carrier.
Okay.
So I can certainly provide you with an update.
So no idea like when it would be over anyhow, right?
I can't speak intelligently on that.
Then the question is, the property generates, I believe, like 13,000 in taxes right now. Developed, it's supposed to generate like close to $1 million a year. This has been going on for a couple of years, so the town has lost like close to $3 million in tax revenue because of this frivolous lawsuit. Can the people that filed the lawsuits be held financially responsible for both the town and the owner? I mean, the owner has lost a potential tenant that in Bethlehem they have like 100 employees for the cold storage that backed out because of the lawsuit. I mean, that's the developer. I don't care how much money he has. He's in business to make money. Any business that is not in business to make money is I don't know where. But can they be held responsible as they should be held responsible?
So again, because I haven't been involved in this case, I can't speak intelligently as to whether the defendants might have a claim against the
Can't counsel
general.
force them to generate a bond or a protection of some sort? I mean, it's just taxpayers' money that's being wasted.
Yep.
It's being wasted in the defense of this lawsuit, plus in the loss of all the taxes. I mean, I can't imagine what the town could do with $3 million. I'd be happy with $3. I'd be rolling around on the floor in it. You're asking taxpayers to really eat a lot of ramen noodles instead of anything else because of this.
So, just if I may, Council President, very briefly, in general, right, the American system of jurisprudence and litigation versus other systems is each side bears his or her or its own costs, absent a contractual provision to the contrary, or absent a law, statute, that says the prevailing party is entitled to recover fees, right? So, prerogative writs, which is the case that you're talking about, is an action challenging as a lawsuit filed challenging municipal action, is not typically a fee-shifting type of action. In other words, each side typically bears their own costs.
Okay, how about after the fact? If the judge throws the whole lawsuit out, can the town turn around and then sue the people that filed the lawsuit?
No.
Gotta love the legal system.
Any other public petition? Okay. Jim?
Just a question, Pete.
Go ahead,
And council. Matt, the monies you talk about for open space.
Jim, direct it to me.
What's that?
Direct the question to me.
Pete. The open space monies that Matt had spoke about, is that part of, Tim, the Rails and Trails monies, or is that separate
No.
entities?
Not yet.
Your money's
The
gonna be different.
The town hasn't allocated, awarded a contract under the open for the Rails to Trails. So there is no money allocated to that project.
Which will be separate monies from what you brought up, Matt.
Yes,
Correct?
Matt's referring to generally your open
Okay.
space and recreation.
'Cause I'm all-
Trust fund.
Yes.
The Rails to Trails has funding from the state in the form of from DOT in the form of a grant.
Very good. I'm all for the open space thing, and I just didn't know whether they're one and the same, or, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, any other public petitions? Hearing none, seeing none. Council open time. Councilman Skirbo.
Yeah, I just want to thank DPW and administration for, handling the storm. We got a lot of snow in a short amount of time. And I have to say, once I got out to do my snow blowing, my streets were clear down to the road, down to the pavement. So great job by everyone. I also want to acknowledge 3 athletes that scored 1,000 points for Phillipsburg High School. Amanda Rappel for the girls. She scored, I believe, the other on Saturday. Andrew Martin for the boys, and Matthew Skirbo Jr. for the boys as well. I don't remember this ever happening in the history, having 3,000 point scorers, and there's just a lot of history going on here with these teams, and if you can get out to watch them, both the girls and the boys will be in the state playoffs coming up next week. So great job by everyone.
Thank you. Councilman Kennedy?
Yeah, I know things get heated at these council meetings and between councilmen and whatnot. I think everybody should just take a step back from time to time and realize that while we have a difference of opinion, I respect everyone's opinion here. Even if I'm on the short end of a vote, I respect everyone's opinion, and I expect them to respect mine. And one thing we should always remind ourselves, everybody on this council, everybody in this audience, they want to see Phillipsburg prosper and succeed. And while we may have different ways of going about it, or how we think we should go about it, that's everyone's goal. So having said that, I wanted to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. And actually, it's a busy time of year for me. Yesterday was my 1-year anniversary of marriage to my wife. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And also, next week will be 1 year since I had my cancer surgery. Again, I want to use that to remind everyone, if you are due for any kind of cancer screenings, you suspect anything, get it checked out. The sooner you catch something like that, the better. I am living proof that early detection can save your life, okay? And Councilman Skirbo beat me to it. I was going to congratulate him and his son for being the latest 1,000-point scorer for Phillipsburg High School. And also on the wrestling team, Gavin Hawk became Phillipsburg's latest 100-match winner. And there are 2 more on the way if they're successful. So aside from basketball, also the wrestling team, they start their road to Atlantic City this weekend. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilman Clark?
Again, I just want to reiterate what was already set up here. A huge thank you to DPW and our first responders for handling all this snow. This week we got the most snow that we've gotten all year, and it was no joke. So I'm very appreciative of the work that they put in to keep our roads clear, to brush as much of it off the roads as they could. And I believe we were very fortunate, and thank you for everyone that was involved in doing that. Just to keep everyone up to date, I had the honor of getting an invitation to go to the Governor's Mansion in Princeton for a Black History Month celebration. I was able to use the opportunity to get a quick meeting with the governor to talk about some initiatives for the town of Phillipsburg that we've been trying to push through for years. We're going to keep nailing away at the governor's office. It's very hard to get his attention, especially when you're competing with, how many municipalities are there now? 563 other municipalities. So I think if we all work together, we can continue to make Phillipsburg a priority in Trenton and get some much needed resources that we need for our residents and town infrastructure. And then finally, and I can't believe I'd ever be saying this, but happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I never thought I'd be sitting in a council meeting on Valentine's Day. But it goes to show that this is definitely a community, and the fact that folks still came out instead of being out with their loved ones, probably still going to go out still tonight. So if y'all do have plans, go for it. But again, happy Valentine's Day, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Councilman Clark. Councilwoman Paulus?
Thank you. I agree with everybody else about the cleanup of the town. The guys have done an amazing job. And I also wanted to thank the mayor and his administration on getting the communication going within the town. A lot of words been put out as far as garbage pickup, schedule changes, road closures. That right there in a short amount of time is a big improvement, getting the website up to date as much as possible, considering what you're working with. Also, there is another lead meeting next February 21st. It's next Wednesday at 6:30 at the Envision Center. It's open to the public. Please feel free to join. And that's about it. Happy Valentine's Day and upcoming President's Day.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Number one, I'd like to naturally thank the DPW. They did an awesome job. You go to other communities around here, you wish you were in Peabody driving instead over there. Trust me, they did an outstanding job. February, look what we have in the month of February. I don't want to go into any particular religion, but there's some religious holidays. Black History Month, naturally Valentine's Day, so get them hearts out there. Groundhog Day, I don't know if you really saw the shadow or not, it's cold out there today. President's Day. I call it Donut Day, they could call it hot, they could call it whatever they want, it's donuts, man. We didn't get any today, I'm sorry about that. Okay, the athletes, I never like to pinpoint an athlete, they're all good athletes. You know, they've done a good job this year, and I agree with Councilman Skirbo. In my lifetime being in Peabody, I've never seen 3 kids accomplish over 1,000 points in basketball. So they're the standout, that's good. And this is one really good. We have to work together, and I agree with Councilman Kennedy, whether we agree or not. You're not going to change this town if we keep arguing and fighting and play politics. We're not going to go any further. You see that organization chart of 1980. Things have changed because they didn't fill all those positions. I compliment the mayor and his staff. We get meetings, we get phone calls. I get calls that I help people. And I'll never say who I help, what I help, what they do. It shows the need that there's so many things out there that people can open doors for other people if you want to make this a better community. And then you talk this high school, which is the gem of New Jersey, in my opinion. When those kids come out of there, how many go to college and come back here? Not many. So we have to make the changes. You can complain all you want every day. We all complain, especially me, because my motto is you complain, you live longer. But, and there's going to be changes. We're not going to put up with that dog and pony days of the school boards when they would line up 3 minutes, 3 minutes. You don't accomplish anything. I don't care who disagrees with me. You give me your point, I will listen to it. And we have a 3-minute rule that I'm not going to abide by. If you have something to say and it's of substance and it really means a lot to you and it's genuine, I'm going to let you talk. It's your town. And I think as we move forward, this administration needs a chance. They're cleaning up a mess. They're cleaning up a mess. I'm not going to pinpoint what was done in the past. They're yesterday. We've got to move forward. And I've been on school boards. I've been on council. 20 years ago, if it wasn't for Peabody politics, Ingersoll would have been developed 20 years ago. I was president of council back then. Never seen any politician take a cut like this mayor did. I've had friends tell me, tell him not to take it. No, he's not that kind of guy. He's a good kid. Because I got kids older than him. And he's given money to 3 of the organizations to help them along. You're in an accident, you need that emergency squad, he's giving them $5 grand. Seniors with this building, another 5. I don't even consider myself a senior because I don't want to. But look how many of them come here. And with this extra money, there's more programs for them. It keeps them away from their apartment, it keeps them active. The fire department, what can you say about volunteers? You can't afford paid. I asked a couple of volunteers, like, there's a fire. You go some areas, I won't mention where, house burns down. Here they save them, because they have 20, 50 men and women go there. I think if you want to put pride in your town, we have to work together. There's a group coming up shortly, and I will not give details. You're going to see them in an area of Peabody that they're going to clean it up. They're going to clean it up. If we can spread that to every neighborhood in Peabody, we can be the crown jewel of Peabody. And to anyone who's lived and worked downtown Peabody, it starts down there. You cross that bridge, you want to see a queen. You don't want to see a dump. So I just urge everyone, let's try to work together. Let's disagree if we want to, but we're going to. But let's keep it healthy, and let's not get into kid stuff. if you ever had kids and babysit a lot of kids, sometimes I'd rather watch 2 and 3-year-olds. You know, they go on their way, you laugh at them, and it's fun. So let's everybody enjoy Valentine's Day, and I think we got executive
We
session.
do an executive session for contract negotiation and the potential disposition of public property. It probably won't take more than 10 minutes.
Okay, so if you just bear with
No
us.
action will be taken when we resume.
Okay, motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Those are good.